talk a little bit about this. I did a bad, and I did not give a big blank for those. So as you write, don't write gigantic. Try to space similarly to how I'm spacing so it'll all fit, okay? So for parentheses, when we're talking about parentheses, in this context of interval notation, parentheses mean not included, or open. Okay, in this context in interval notation, it means not included or open. And we use when a graph starts or stops on an open circle. So if it has an open circle, which just means a circle that's not been filled in, that is when we are going to use parentheses. And then in interval notations, brackets mean included or closed. And we use these. A graph starts or stops on a closed circle. And a closed circle is just a circle that has been filled in. Okay, so that's our distinct. And what is the closed and open circle thing even mean? So, have we all played Minecraft before at least once? All right. So, if I'm in Minecraft, all right, and there is this, where I'm in the nether, okay, and I'm just bebopping around, walking. We're going to pretend these are the blocks in Minecraft, right? And this block is missing, right? And there's lava underneath this floor that I'm currently on. And that block's missing, and I'm just walking. What is going to happen if I go to stand on that block? If it's an open block, what am I going to do? I'm going to fall through it. I'm going to fall into the lava and die. Very important, right? So an open circle is just like that open box. It's something that's not there. Okay? If it's open, it means you can't be there. It can't be included. And that's why the open thing matters. Now, brackets mean included or closed. So that's kind of like, if we have a closed dot, that means that block's there again. So if I walk and that block is there, can I step on it? Yeah, it's fine. Okay? That's the difference between that open circle and that closed circle. One of them means you can be that, and one of them means you can't. Okay? And so that's like the simplest way to like think about it. Is that block there? No. Okay, then you can't. That's not equal to that. Now, we gotta talk about infinity for a second, because we're also going to be dealing with infinity in that. Just set it right there. So is infinity a number I can get to? No, because infinity is just a really, really big number, right? You can keep going forever. So can I include the number infinity? No, because it just keeps going. So if I can't include it, would I use parentheses or brackets? If it's not included, parentheses, okay? So anytime we're going to have infinity or negative infinity is just a really big negative number. It's like negative, I don't know, just really, really big negative number, okay? So that one is going to use parentheses. And so how do these things relate to inequalities? Okay, so if we have an open circle, okay, we use an open circle when we have strictly less than or greater than symbols. Okay, if we have less than or greater than, okay, that is when you're going to have open circles and you're going to have parentheses. All three of those things mean that we can't equal. Okay, we're working on 1.5. We changed seats. So where were you at?
I forgot the name of the room. She said she's going to send an email to let you know.
Okay, perfect. You're over there in that group, and then you're right there. We're working on 1.5 in our notes. All right, so now, if we have a closed circle, we use that when we have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to signs. So if it adds that or equal to piece, suddenly it's a block we can stand on. Suddenly it's something it can be. So we use a closed circle or brackets. And then we're going to actually look at some of these examples. Okay, so we're going to look at number 1. Can someone read to me what this says?
X is less than 3.
X is less than 3. So if you remember, when we're looking at inequalities, the way we know if it's less than or greater than is if this was a little fishy. I like to make mine piranhas. So if that's a little fishy and it's got some sharp teeth in there, it's trying to eat what's bigger. Okay? So whatever is bigger is the way the fishy is pointing. Yes, that is silly, but yes, that is probably the easiest way to remember. Okay? And so that is how we know if it's greater than, less than, if which one the fishy is eating. So this is X is less than 3. So to graph this at 3, do I need to use an open circle or a closed circle? Open. So we're going to draw slightly above the line, just so with y'all's pencil, you can actually see where you're writing. Because sometimes when y'all do pencil on top of the line, I can't see it. So we're going to do right here. And so X is less than 3. If I'm talking about less than, would that go to the left or would that go to the right? To the left. So that's what our graph looks like for X is less than 3. So now we're going to talk about turning that into interval notation. So with interval notation, essentially all we're doing is we're writing this, what this graph is, as an interval. Okay, so we write from left to right. So on this graph, we're going to start with where the arrow's at. What does that arrow point to? Does it ever stop? What does it go to? But if it's on the negative side, that's where we would use negative infinity. Okay, and then it's going to go from negative infinity all the way to what number does our point go to?
3.
Or not negative 3, 3. Now, at negative infinity, do I use parentheses or brackets? Parentheses. At 3, parentheses or bracket? Parentheses. Okay, all interval notation does is it lets us show what's happening with the graph without having the graph there. Okay? The number gives us what our point is, and the infinity gives us what our arrow is. Does that make sense? Kind of what's happening there? All right. For 2, someone read this to me. X is greater than negative 1. So at -1, do I need an open or closed circle? Open. Do I need to draw it to the right or to the left? To the right. That is the side that's bigger. Okay, now we're going to go from left to right to do our interval notation. On the left side, is the point or the arrow first? The point goes first. So what was the point? Where's the point at? Okay, parentheses or bracket? And then where does the arrow go to? And then it gets a parentheses. So again, we just match up where our point is, where our arrow goes, and that's what gives us our interval notation. That's all that's happening there. All right, for 3. Okay, for 3. Okay, we're doing our notes on 1.5. Where's it at? Well, make sure you bring it tomorrow. And you have to watch the video to get caught up, please. All right, how do I read this? So it's 7. Do I need an open or a closed dot? And then should I go from the right or to the left? To the right or to the left?
To the right.
To the right. So now I've got to do my interval notation. So what would I need to write for my interval notation?
Bracket. 7.
And then where's my arrow going? So it goes to? And infinity always gets a? We can mix and match parentheses and brackets.
Wait, is it always infinity?
If it's either infinity or negative infinity for that arrow, for your arrows, yes.
So should it be like the parentheses and then
7?
7?
No. No. Because this is saying from 7 to infinity, right? It's like telling you the interval it's happening. If I flip that, it's saying that infinity is less than 7. Is that true? No. It's going in the same order as our number line is. And so that's kind of why we're looking at it that way. Because if we look at each of these, it's going negative infinity to 3. It's going from -1 to infinity, 7 to infinity. It's going in whatever order that number line's going to. Instead of us having this picture to do it, we're just doing it with symbols. Okay? For 4, someone read that for me. It is less than or equal to -5, because if I was to make that a fishy, it's trying to eat -5, so -5 is bigger. So do I need an open or closed dot at -5? Closed. All right, does it need to go to the right or to the left? To the left. Just like that. Now, if I wanted to put this in interval notation, okay, what do I need to do first in my interval notation? Negative infinity, because that's what's happening first in my picture, right? So infinity gets a parentheses, and it goes to where? And -5 gets a bracket. All right, now we're going to look at some graphs, and we're going to write out the equation. Yes, ma'am.
So why did you say we always use parentheses for the...
So is infinity a number you can equal? No, so infinity is not included. So that's why we use parentheses, because that's what that means. Because interval notation is different than writing points on a graph. This is us talking about a specific interval from a graph, not a point on a graph. That's why it's a little different. All right, so for number 5, it wants us to write an inequality. So we have our picture, and do you see how it's kind of difficult to see just a little bit where it's happening? That's why I don't want y'all to write on the actual line itself right above it, so it's easy to see. So from here, I have an X, and I have, what's my number? Where's my point at? So is X greater than -2 or less than -2? Less than. So that means the fishy needs to eat the bigger one, which would be, there we go. So x is less than negative 2. Now, can it equal negative 2? No, because it's an open circle. So now, just for extra practice, let's go ahead and do our interval notation here as well. How would I do my interval notation for this? Perfect. All right. Now, for 6, I'm going to have x and what number? Now, is x greater than or less than 4? Greater than 4. Or what? Equal to. So we add that line under it for the closed dot since it's equal to. It could be equal to. Now, for our interval notation, what should I write? Bracket 4 to infinity. When we do it, our point should line up with the number and our arrow should line up with the infinity on the side it is. If our arrow goes to the right, it should be positive infinity on the right side. If our arrow goes to the left, it should be negative infinity on the left side. That's where that's happening. For 7, we should have x is what? Less than or equal to 0. And how would I write that with interval notation? Yep. There we go. All right, now for 8. All right, for 8. Greater than negative 3. Because it's an open circle, so it does not get that or equal to piece. Okay, how do I do my interval notation? Is it going to the left or to the right? It's going to the right. So since it's going to the right, that automatically tells me that my infinity is going to be on the right. Negative 3. There we go. Now, another thing about inequalities is when we go to actually solve inequalities, we're doing the exact same thing we do to solve equations. Everything is the exact same. Just the difference is what symbol is in the middle of our problem. Okay? There's only one thing that's different. And the thing that is different is that you must flip your inequality symbol when you multiply or divide by a negative number. That is the only thing that is different from when we have our normal equations. And that happens if we multiply or divide by a negative. Okay, so we're going to actually go ahead and start solving a few of these. So let's look at number 9. To solve number 9, how do I go about that? So subtract 2 on both sides. Adding and subtracting changes nothing. Nothing changes. So we get 3x is less than, what is negative 4 minus 2? Negative 6. All right, now, to get x by itself, what do? Divide by positive or negative 3? Positive 3. So again, nothing changes. So we get x is less than negative 2. So now we're going to graph that. Do y'all see how this line isn't labeled at all? I love that for us. We're just going to put negative 2 in the middle and call it a day. We don't have to try to find the place. We just put it on there. Open or close circle? To the right or to the left?
To the left.
All right, now, interval notation of that. Our arrow points to the left, so that means negative infinity has to go on the,
Left.
and it goes to parentheses or bracket. There we go. All right, now let's go ahead and look at 10. So for question 10, how do I solve question 10? I can't multiply it by 6 yet. What do I need to do before I multiply it by 6? Minus 2. So x over 6 is greater than negative 3. Now what do I need to do? Times by positive or negative 6. So again, nothing changes. We get x is greater than, what is negative 3 times 6? So over here we're going to do negative 18. Open or close circle? To the right or to the left? So how do I write my interval notation? Here we go. All right. So we are going to wrap up here.